If you're looking to obtain financial freedom, this is the video for you. Now, financial freedom can mean different things to a lot of different people. It could even mean having enough income that is going to be generated or passive income to cover your living expenses without having a traditional 9 to 5 job or a regular paycheck. Now, of course, to get this level of financial freedom, it does take some sacrifices, looking at financial limitations, flexibility, but also security that you're not reliant on the 9 to 5 job. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at 12 ways to achieve the financial freedom that all of us are longing for. Starting with our first one, setting financial goals. This, of course, is going to be very, very specific. This is also going to be your motivation when it comes to your financial journey. This is going to be something that you can always go back to, adjust as needed. To do this, we're going to start identifying short-term and long-term goals. When we think of short-term goals, it's about the 1 to 5 year time frame. When you start looking at long-term goals, it's the 5+. Now, of course, long-term goals could be saving down for a down payment on a house. It could be building a retirement fund, funding your child's education. There's a lot of things when you think of financial goals that are very specific. And this is where it breaks it down. And you have to be not only specific, but you have to be realistic with the time frame that you have, regularly reviewing these goals and making adjustments as needed. Because of course, if you're an individual that's making $50,000 a year, if you want to save $1 million in the next 5 years, probably not feasible on your income unless you have something going on. Second one we look at is creating a budget. Now, of course, creating a budget, creating a spending plan, whatever you want to call it, even if you don't track every single item, this is one of the biggest keys that people overlook when it comes to that financial freedom, because when you're tracking income, expenses, savings, living within your means, this is going to allow you to not only eliminate debt, but it is going to allow you to utilize your paycheck or build that passive income that you need, allocating more money towards savings accounts, which of course can generate passive income, but also putting a lot more money into an investments account, which is the big part. Now, when you have an effective budget, listing all the sources of your income, then of course all of your expenses, be very realistic. Don't try to cheat yourself. Don't try to lie to yourself. This is the part where consistently following the budget. And honestly, from my personal experience, when it comes to budgeting, when people are very aware of where they're spending their money and what it is going to, it is super easy to make adjustments once you take the time and effort. And when I mean time and effort, when you think of a 30-day period, once you do this initially, which could take an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get all your documents together, once you have a baseline and budget, you will notice a majority of your fixed expenses do not change at all. You're going to have, of course, some variable expenses, maybe seasonal expenses, but overall for the budget, a lot of it is going to stay the exact same, and a lot of it is going to be very routine. Now, before we get into the next one, guys, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. So let's get into number 3, paying off high interest debt. This is the absolute biggest detriment when it comes to financial freedom. And honestly, when it comes to finances in general, this will sink everything that you have. When you start getting into credit card debt, when you start looking at 25%, the high interest debt will derail your financial plans, your financial freedom. It really robs the ability to create passive income. It also robs the ability for you to invest because of the credit card debts that you have. Getting this under control, again, is super, super imperative. And really the first thing, when you think of Dave Ramsey's baby steps, when you think of I Can Teach You to Be Rich, regardless of which financial guru you listen to, they always focus on credit card debt and focus on eliminating and not carrying the credit card debt. Now, of course, when it comes to the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, really looking which one is best for you. For me personally, debt avalanche is the way that I do it, making sure that the highest interest rate is knocked out first. Then, of course, we can't do anything without talking about the emergency fund. When it comes to the emergency fund, there will be a point in time where you will have an emergency and you will need this emergency fund. And of course, when it comes to medical bills, car repairs, job loss, this is to keep you out of the high interest debt. This is also to keep you out of borrowing. If you have this money sidelined, it is going to essentially be your safety net that you have. If you don't want to call it an emergency fund, because again, it's kind of old school, but looking to build an emergency fund, you're looking at 3 to 6 months. And honestly, pick a place. If you're looking at your budget and you're aiming to save 3 months, save 3 months. 3 months is going to be the goal. That is going to be the financial goal you're going to set. When you're working towards financial freedom, you are going to work within having that 3 months of savings on the sideline, knowing that it is going to be there when you do need it, in case you do, and trust me, there is going to be a point you do. Now, if you want to get financial freedom, if you want to achieve this pivotal marker of the debt-free journey, it cannot be achieved without saving and investing aggressively. This is something that I don't feel like the aggressiveness has to be so over the top that you're throwing everything into cryptocurrency. But when you think of saving aggressively, most people roughly put about 6% in a 401k. Imagine if that was 10%. Imagine if that was 15%. Imagine if it was 20%. When you think of financial freedom, the ability for you to save faster, invest more is going to be pivotal to really springshot saving aggressively and cutting expenses. You are doing both things. We always talk about the three buckets. Number one is the income. Number two is your expenses. The third bucket is what you have left, whether it is positive or negative. You have whatever is left with that extra bucket, thinking of almost like the 50, 30, 20. That extra bucket is what you have to do and really what you need to be able to be financially free. When it comes to that final bucket, it gives you the ability to save money, to invest money, to repay debt. You have to make sure, and for a lot of people, unfortunately, there is no third bucket. It is at zero or it is negative. People are reliant on credit card debt to actually supplement their income. And of course, that is going to be crazy because it is a lose-lose game. There's going to be a point where that money is out. Now, when we talk about investing, we talk about the 3 ETF portfolio, but thinking of your Roth IRAs, your 401ks, trying to max out contributions, putting money into the HSAs. When you think about the different ways, so if you're putting money into a 401k plan, you're maxing out your HSA, you're maxing out your IRAs, you are going to have so much income if you stay on that path for a multitude of years. When it comes to investing it properly, 3-fund ETF, and even honestly, if you put it in the VOO or the S&P 500, you are not going to go wrong with it. Number 6, we get into minding your spending. This is crucial. Now, I took a couple years in really understanding what frugal means. Now, frugal does not mean cheap. Frugal means that you're willing to buy things that have a value. Achieving financial freedom is just like that. It's very, very easy to get into the lifestyle inflation, the lifestyle creep, the keeping up with the Joneses. As your income grows, most people grow with it. They buy the bigger houses, more expensive vacations, more expensive vehicles. It is the practical mindset of spending that is going to lead you to financial freedom and really looking at needs and wants. When I think of a second grader, they were talking about needs and wants. So even going back to the very fundamentals of elementary school, they are talking about the things you need versus the things you want and trying to get them to differentiate between both of those. Now, when you think of this, again, focusing on money and really what it matters to you, it's not going to be the dollar signs. It's not going to be the money in the bank. It's going to be the lifestyle you want. It is going to be the time that you're buying back and the time you don't have to spend at work because you have saved and really mindful when it comes to spending. Now, of course, on the other side, like we talked about with the first bucket, number 7, you can increase your income while you're cutting your expenses. If you can save more money, if you can increase your income, this, of course, is just going to shorten that timeline for financial freedom. Increasing the income will accelerate your progression with the investment aspect. This, of course, looking at raises, looking at promotions, looking at side gigs, like what we have right now. Hope you subscribe to the channel, but we are getting this off the bat, and we are almost to 7,000 subscribers already. But learning a new skill, getting a certificate, and a lot of people even using the same skills they have in a different way outside of work to create a side hustle or a side business, looking at hobbies, looking at passions, looking at ways and exploring how you can monetize that will make a big difference. Now, number 8, planning for retirement. This is one of the biggest parts that I feel people really lack, even if they're investing early. Is it in the right thing? I've seen a lot of people that had money in IRAs, had money into 401ks. That was just in cash. They were sitting at financial institutions with a bunch of different accounts. Those accounts were not invested in anything. And of course, if you want to do the IRA, if you want to do the investing, I have links down below for M1 and Robinhood. Go ahead and look those up, guys. If you want to start investing, and if you're investing in those 401k plans, those IRAs, you have to, I cannot stress it enough, have it invested in the market. It has to be there. It is not going to grow if you're doing a 3%, 5% CD. It is not going to grow to the point you need to. And that compounding interest, of course, is not going to be there because you don't have the interest rate high enough to really make a big difference. You'll see a very, very small growth. And then, of course, when you get ready to retire, you might not have enough funds there. And when we get into number 9, just like we were talking about, investing wisely is the most powerful way to build wealth. When we look at a survey, 88% of millionaires are first generation, meaning the money that they saved, how they hit that millionaire status was what they did here and now. It is achieving that financial freedom. It is about eliminating debt. And honestly, like I said personally, once we eliminated all of our debt, we had the power to put a ton of money into 401k plans, HSAs, IRAs, investment accounts, brokerage accounts, everything. We could really stockpile it. When we start looking though, we have older vehicles. That's okay. There's going to be a point where we are going to have to replace them, and we'll be able to take care of that. Start the education, start the trip down the financial freedom lane right now, looking at the risk, looking at the rewards, and sticking into the investment portfolios and ETFs. That is the only thing that I invest in my entirety is ETFs. I do not follow companies to invest in individual stocks. ETFs for me is the way to go. And I'm glad you're still sticking in for this video, because number 10 is learning about personal finance. Now, when you think of personal finance, this is giving you the tools and empowering you to make better financial decisions, make progression towards the financial freedom, which of course is the goal. Now, looking at this, it could be audiobooks, it could be physical books, YouTube videos, podcasts. There are so many things that are budgeting, investing, retirement. You have to know your sources, and you have to really take it with a grain of salt. I've seen a lot of things on TikTok, seen a lot of things on Facebook that unfortunately the info that I hear really sends off bells and whistles in my head. As a financial counselor, I'm really seeing how it's done and having certifications. As your knowledge grows, you'll know how better to manage your money, but look and be very, very cautious and careful when it comes to get rich quick schemes. When you say, hey, you can do affiliate marketing, it's going to yield you $50,000 a month. Yeah, probably not. I know maybe one, probably not even one of 100 million people actually do hit that number. But overall, guys, investment, wealth, financial freedom is just a steady progression. Number 11, we look at surrounding yourself with like-minded people. This is one of the biggest things when you think about a subconscious or an impact, having financial habits, having a mindset, being very, and really having someone on your side, having someone to motivate you, seeking out friends, mentors, communities that have very similar goals that are pointed in the same direction you are. It's not just in finances though, it is really life. If you have someone in your corner that's really positive, supportive, encouraging, it is going to be an entirely different journey from someone who doesn't. And of course, if you don't want to do any of it, if you want to leave it to the absolute professionals, consider hiring a financial advisor. Now, of course, this journey to financial freedom you can do on your own through the education process, through really going through educating yourself like I did over the last couple years. But of course, if you want to hire someone, be cautious, do your research, do the interview process with financial advisors. They're going to take about 1% of a portfolio. So there is a pretty good cost that does come with financial advisors. So definitely be aware with that. But look for someone who has experience, a multitude of years, trustworthy, really is a fiduciary that is acting in your best interest, and also knows exactly what you want. When you talk about those financial goals, you have to make sure that they align, your goals align with their goals. It is not just about what they can sell you, what they're going to get paid on, and what their commission is looking at and what it looks like, but it ultimately is exactly what you want. Now, of course, when it comes to financial freedom, it can be incredibly difficult if you're not focused like I am to getting to the point. Getting there does require focus. It is setting very clear goals, making very intentional financial decisions, increasing my income that we're doing through YouTube, investing all of the funds that we're getting from there, and of course, planning for retirement like we are. So guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.